Hi, this is Tutor Buxton. Welcome to Construction Quantity Surveying channel. Today is a new chapter. Apart from what we've been doing concerning the rules of standard methods of measurements and also the basics where we managed to do about the substructures. For this session, I would like us to start what we call the step-by-step process or step-by-step process of preparation of bills of quantities. There are a number of my viewers who have asked the same, so that we look into the preparation of bills of quantities from scratch, only when provided with what we call the plan. How will you go about it, and how will you prepare ultimate final bills of quantities from that point till you finish? So for this chapter that we've started, we are going to take a walkthrough into the steps that are involved in preparation of bills of quantities when you have the drawing plans, sections, and so on. How do you go about it till you prepare the bills of quantities? Welcome to this session. For the new viewers, please subscribe. In this channel, we got to learn from the basics, we got to learn from the rules, and so on in matters related to quantity surveying. For the returning viewers, I want to say thank you very much for being part of this channel, and I believe it's been worthwhile. As we walk through, I believe all of you are going to benefit from this channel. For additional services, private, customized tutoring, please reach out. My contact is at the description. Please reach out so that we schedule and have to learn together at your most convenient time. Thank you very much. Please subscribe as we go on, and welcome to the new chapter of preparation of bills of quantities from scratch. I would like us to use the most common software that is applicable by majority of the quantity surveyors. Even if you are just an upcoming and you don't have much idea, we are going to use what we call Excel, or the spreadsheet. When using Excel, there are now those basic concepts. Of course, we won't start from that, including editing and so on. But I would like us to use the Excel sheet in preparation of our bills of quantities. So I'm not sure whether there are those concepts that are required for you to manage in editing in using the Excel. But then I would weigh between also teaching also those step-by-step concepts of handling the dimensions, and also translating those dimensions into having now the quantities in our bills of quantities. So we are going to use the Excel. At the side, we'll be using to do our calculations, so that you are able to see how those quantities are built up step by step until we have the quantities in regard to the rules that we have talked about. So based on what we have, based on the item that we have, I mean the software that we have, normally you will be provided by a drawing from the architect, who is normally assigned to prepare the drawings or does the design. Once you have your drawings, there are normally different sets of drawings, and the sets include: one, you can have what you call architectural drawing. Okay, from the architectural drawing, you will always be seeing what we call the plan. Okay, that plan is what we call the working plan that is going to be used, is going to be implemented in the construction. So that is the plan that the quantity surveyor is normally relying on in preparation of the bills of quantities. Normally, you are expected to read the plan. You should read the plan of the architectural plan and the structural plan in conjunction. In that, when you read the architectural plan, there are those items. For instance, if the grids have been used, for your information, whenever the structural engineer is making the structural plan or the structural design, from the CAD, that is now the CAD that is the software that is being used for the design by the structural, the structural engineers, they normally take the drawing from the architects, and read it through the card and then make their design. So it means those for instance, those specific items, including the grades, including the dimensions, is normally replicated from what the architect has already done. For that case, if at all you might find that there are some dimensions of the structural designs which are not indicated, but then because the design that is you have in the structural design that you have and the architectural plan that you already also have should be read in conjunction, so they are always able to help you in going through those items which you need, or those dimensions which are not clear from the structural design. So normally sorry, from what you have in regard to the plans, the two plans, you'll be reading them in conjunction. Then what you do next is for you to understand, make sure that you are able to read the plans properly. Okay, that is why we had to go through the basic plan, and then we've now come to a more complex plan that is going to be guiding us on how to move forward across all the items. So you first take your plans, understand it, internalize it properly, go to the footnote or at the side of that particular plan, or at the bottom where there is what we call the information. Okay, those information, so you would pay attention to understand properly what you have in terms of the details. So just go either to the right side or at the bottom of that particular drawing. You'll be able to find those details indicated, indicating maybe the client, the title of the project, where the project is going to be located, and so on. Because that is also important for you. As you are doing the bills of quantities, you are also required to indicate the title. You will see how we start to do our enter our details for the bills of quantities. So you are required to enter the details, including the client, the title, what kind of development it is, and so on. So besides that, you also need to understand properly what kind of development it is, and also how the plan is flowing, including the site plan. Okay, what do you have at the site plan? Okay, is it indicated, or how are the buildings going to be oriented, and so on. So all those information you need to take keen note of, because those information or those particular details are important for you to do a proper bills of quantities. And of course, presumably, maybe you might have gone to the site or not. If you haven't gone, then you should be having information, especially concerning the geotechnical properties of the site in which the construction is supposed to be done. These are going to help you estimate, for example, give informed dimensions or levels of what we call excavations. So if you don't have that proper information, you might underquote, or you might overestimate, which both of which are very dangerous. So you need to be approximate, but very, very much within the limits that are provided, or concerning what is available on site. So you need to have all those information. So once you have that, we are going to use what we call the Excel, because it's common and it's readily available for majority of the people. We are going to use it to do our bills of quantities. So straight away you will just go to Microsoft, then you search open a blank Excel sheet. Okay, so once you've opened your blank sheet, you will have it, or a blank workbook. Okay, for instance, what we are having here. So for this particular workbook, you are going to now start doing your bills of quantities. So how do you start? When you have it blank as it is, it's from scratch, because it's now you want to enter the items, descriptions, do the quantities, and so on. So the very first thing is, for you can always go to for instance, you can go to layout. Just go to layout, so that you are able to edit your bills of quantities from the start. go to layout, then you will just maybe search for what you call sorry, you will go to the view tab of your Excel, and then you will be able to open workbook views, and then go to page break preview. So from that, then you'll get back to normal, so that it's able to show you the outline of that particular page. Okay, so once you have that, then you can best start straight away by entering your title. Your title, I've told you, when you have your architectural plan, go to the right corner or the bottom corner and be able to read the details of that particular plan. Okay, so from what is here, you are able to see that the plan is for so and so, and the development is this and this. So once you have that, read what is available there. So for instance, in this case, the plan that you are using, you'll read from this. Okay, so you will just indicate, just for this is for example purposes, so proposed residential development on plot land number, okay, 101 Buxton. Okay, so what you have, it's simply just giving you identification of the project, the one that you're handling, type of development that it is. So proposed residential development on plot number such and such. And then you can always do what we call merging. If you want to merge this, then go to alignment, and then merge and center. Okay, so you already have the title, and then somewhere in between, maybe at this point, you can as well take this also somewhere around the middle, and then you are also supposed to indicate, can merge that and talk about the client. Okay, so in this case we are doing client, also just merge that as well. So the client here is Mr. Buxton. Okay, so you've already indicated the title of the project up there, and then you've done the client. Okay, so from there you can always indicate what we call the parties or the consultants to the project. Okay, so the consultants would include one, you can talk about the architect. Okay, you can just have another subtitle here showing you now this is the part that you're going to enter what we call the consultants to the project. Okay, consultants. Okay, so you can have that consultants or any other identification that you might wish to give it, but just make sure that you have what we call the parties that are involved in this construction project indicated. Okay, so in this part, the first one that you have here is you can have the architect, who is the architect for that particular project. Then you can also have at this point is the engineer, or you can just go straight to talk about structural engineer. Okay, this can be alternatively can also be the civil engineer for that particular project. So in this point you need to include now the details of those parties. You include the details of the architect, who is the architect. So you can talk about, for instance, can talk about Katembo. Okay, maybe you talk about his registration number, the professional registration number of that particular architect. So you can talk about that particular number. Okay, that is the number. And then maybe you can talk about his contact, the contact of that particular architect of that project. And then the structural engineer, you will do the same. You can talk about engineer, Caroline, and then you can talk about maybe is her registration or her address, PO box 3334. Okay, Buxton. All right, so in this case you've already indicated now those are the two consultants there. Then you can also as well talk about the quantity surveyor for the project. Okay, you have the quantity surveyor also indicated. If you might wish, you can talk about the contractor. If at all the contractor has not yet been has been appointed, you can talk about the contractor. If not yet, then just talk about purely the consultants. So you've done architect, structural engineer, quantity surveyor. So you can also have the services engineer. Okay, the services engineer. So at this point we said it should be the consultants. Okay, so you have consultants. You've talked about these other three guys. So in this point you can talk about QS Buxton. Talk about also the address. Okay, can talk about the particular address at that point. And then services engineer, can also say about engineer Stephen. Okay, and then the address, for instance, maybe this is the same address to be used there. So these are consultants of the project. And then at the bottom here we normally indicate what we call the date. Okay, but we don't indicate the specific date, in the sense that we talk about the month. The month is always just as good as the particular date, because this is a process, and a process, being able to identify it as within the particular date when you are finishing or starting these particular bills of quantities is normally not very easy. And therefore it's important that you indicate now, you can indicate the month in which, so we are talking about April. Okay, April 2024. Then just to make your work look properly, you can always do a few editing here and there. Okay, so just make your edits. These are first of all, you can talk about changing the font. Just select the font that you would wish to use for your bills of quantities. Okay, so once you've just select any, there's one here like using, can talk about that. No, let me use century is here. Okay, font 11, that is just okay. So once you've selected your font and the size of the font of the title that you have, then you now just basically format what you have in your for your plan. Okay, there, yes, I always also like indicating. Also, you can indicate maybe from the very first part, indicate now items. You can include a 3D perspective of your design, or just an elevation of that particular design, so that it's put whatever you've done in terms of the bills of quantities into perspective. Okay, I was also forgetting, at this point you can include what we call, you can just have a title here of bills of quantities. Okay, so you have it indicated at that point, and then the title at the top. So once you have those, then just take a snip, take any snip of this particular work, or you can go to 3D. If the architect made some 3D designs, then it's important that you can also include a snip of that, paste it here, then be able to edit it even further. So from what you have in terms of the 3D perspective, or this is just basically an elevation, you can as well snip this. Just go to your snipping tools and have it, you snip that particular item that you have, or the 3D that you need, quite well, and then you copy it to the other point. Okay, so just go to your snipping tool and then be able to snip just a portion of it at an elevation of the same. Okay, and then of course copy it there. After you've copied, you can copy it to your okay. Then now the next task that you're having here is for you to do now edits of everything that you have quite well, and then you proceed with the rest of your work. So we've done this, so just the next task is editing. Just edit this one properly. Okay, of course taking note of all the items that you have, so that you have a proper item or a proper bills of quantities. So just do that. Okay, so these are just ideas that you have, which you can use to have your document looking pretty good, quite presentable. You need to make it quite presentable. So just edit. Okay, and then you can also have this a little bigger for your title. Then you can make it at the center if you so wish. Okay, that way. And then this is bills of quantities. Just can delete some part of this point that way, so you have that one at that point. And then you can also just insert a few points here so that it's proportional. And of course you realize that our date has gone to the lower part, so just make sure that you can delete those are rows above it. Just delete the rows above it so that it's properly in order. Okay, so when you have this, you can always do more items. You can make sure that your document is even more presentable by going to even fill. You can make a fill of the whichever way that you need, or whichever color that you need. That is just a fill there. And then you can do the same for that title, for that part of bills of quantities. Also make this a little bigger. Then you can have now border lines. Okay, so just go to this one is under, for you to get the border lines to use, go to home, then under font you just click on the drop down. Then you will find this tab, okay, giving you the font. Then just from what I'm pointing at, then you can use that to have your border lines well in place. And also at the title you can also have that. Okay, and then you can also have a borderline to your image, the one that you copied here, so that it's also very presentable. Okay, then you can also format this point. Just go to the same point that we are in and have it. You can just have a line, maybe a line at the center there, at the side. Okay, at the side you have a right line there, and then you can also have another line to the bottom here. Okay, so just go back to where we were having it, and then to the bottom border. And then you can make these three, the titles, to be a bit bold. Actually, I am thinking of removing that line at that point. So these are just basically editing skills. Then you go to format cells if you need now more of those ideas, more of those options of how to edit your border lines. So you can remove it there and then bring it to the right. Okay, that is format cells, and then you have it at that particular point. All right. Okay. okay, it doesn't look very good, so I would even suggest you carry this one to this point. That looks better, and then you have it, you return that, and at the bottom there, then you make these other ones bold. Okay, you can make them bold. So just click on one, then control click on the rest, so that it repeats, it moves to the other points without having to alter what you are intending to, the rest of the items to add. So just control and then click for the rest of them. Then you can now make from this point, I can remove this particular row, and then I have at least an additional line for every point, so just add another border there, and then you have, I can have an outside border. So just go back to the font. At this point there is always an option of outside borders, so you can have the outside borders there, and I also need one at the bottom here. At this point there is now bottom border. Okay, sorry. So we have all that. Can just also include another line here so that it's at the bottom. Alright, so we have all those ones. You can make these bold, bills of quantities, and you also make your title bold. Okay, then normally I would also like having an overall bold border at the thick outside border for all the items, so you can just have that also at that point. Okay, so once you have all those ones well done, then you can always check the preview of how your bills of quantities cover page is going to be looking like. So this being a fresh one, so let's just have it as tutoring, not really, BQ, residential development, BQ. Okay, so you can just have that, then you select where you need it to be saved. So in this case we can decide where we need it to be saved, so we'll just leave it as at the documents, and then we save. Okay, so once you have that, then you can check the preview so that you see how exactly your BQ or your bills of quantities is going to be looking like before you do the final touches of doing the job, final touches of having the bills of quantities. So just have it, can just see it, drag it, and be able to check how it's going to be looking like. So after all the editing work we've done, you are able to make a preview of your document to see how the cover page is going to be looking like, and decide if it's appealing enough for you to proceed. Then you move to the rest of the items, or there are a few items that you need to edit. So just look at that, see the borders, the edges. Okay, if the date is in order, those are consultant data bar of indication, and everything is in place. So for me this looks fine, but then the edges are not balanced, so you can as well still continue to make your edits. So what I'll do is just increasing slightly here, so just stretch it a little bit. Okay, just making sure that it's not beyond out of, so can make it that way. It's still within those lines that you indicated, so that is also very, very important. So just check again, a little adjustment, but looks okay. Okay, so when you are when you are convinced that it's fine, then you move on and do the rest of the items that you're supposed to do. So having confirmed that your preview of the print of your cover page is looking good, therefore you have also just confirmed that all the indications of the item that you need to indicate in your for your details for the cover page. Title should be there, location should be there, the title that you have also bills of quantities also included, clients also shown, the consultants. So that is as good as you would wish, so that you have all the indications of the parties or the consultants involved for that particular project. Then the next part that you'd move to, which is going to be coming next in our upcoming series, or the next lesson, is now going to be the specific items that we should have for the different sections of the bills of quantities. So we are going to have a division of our sections of the bills of quantities, including section 1, preliminaries. Section 2, we are going to have billed as work for this particular project. Then section 3, we are going to have external works. Then section 4, we are going to have services. Then 5, we are going to have provisional sums and contingencies. So that is how we are going to cover those specific areas of bills of quantities. So the way we've started, we are going to do it one by one. We go step by step along all the way, all the items that we need to cover for a complete bills of quantities. Also, just to inform you, as you are eagerly waiting, for this point we are going to focus much on getting the quantities, how you measure and get your quantities from the plan. That is going to be our main focus. Of course, later on we'll be going to see how to even build up rates, so that we have now rates into those quantities that we shall have done, and thereafter we now have a proper or a complete estimate and so on. So it's definitely just going to be a process step by step from the basics until we now become very, very competent in handling preparation of bills of quantities. So that brings us to the end of this particular session. I want to thank you very much. For the returning viewers, thank you very much. The new viewers, this is the point to be, because the way items are being explained here are going to really be worthwhile. They are really going to be helpful in covering exactly your needs and also requirements and so on. Kindly, before you leave, just make a subscription so that whenever we drop any new video, you are able to find it and benefit from it even further, and as well the subsequent videos. So thank you very much for being part of the channel, and I wish you a great time till we meet again in our next session, where we are going to be going into preliminaries and so on. Thank you very much. Have a great time. Bye bye.